Blessed Friday to you, or should I say Black Friday, or the day after Thanksgiving. Probably for some, the preparations for Christmas are starting, but I think they've already started for some. And I would just say, think about these words that Bonhoeffer gives as you have your time for fellowship to prepare and your time that you don't forget the time alone. And so what Dietrich says here on the middle of page 78, he says, along with the day of the Christian family fellowship together, there goes the lonely day of the individual. This is as it should be. The day together will be unfruitful without the day alone, both for the fellowship and for the individual. One of the things I like to compare this to would be when I prepare for worship. Some people think that I just put the things together, I randomly pick the songs. I know my secretary Karen would say otherwise. She puts together the bulletin. We get that thing organized 2 or 3 weeks in advance. Our organist needs to know those songs. Our altar guild setting things up, not even just the numbers, but just the colors and everything that go into the day. And I don't just, I know I had a confirmation student joke with me about this. She knows who she is. She would just say that, oh yeah, Pastor Matt just comes up with something on top of his head and just goes and, you know, like jazz, just goes into it and just starts talking, talking, talking. No, I practice the things I need to say. And in other words, these are reminders that our day alone is preparation for our day together and why we need both. I talked about yesterday, depending on your orientation, whether you get your energy as an extrovert or an introvert, that's okay to be either one or to be somewhat in between. And I would call myself have tendencies in between, although people who know me, and they're right, I am an extrovert, but I do have to recognize the importance of having that individual time together or away from others in order to be together. And so it says in this thing, the Christian family fellowship goes with the lonely day of the individual, and they belong together. Now let's talk about one of the tensions that can have. Maybe when you're alone, you recognize that, but you miss not so much Christian fellowship in general, but Christian fellowship specifically. As I've grown older, I've had times of nostalgia, and it has been missing people that are no longer in my life that did become such an integral part of my Christian family fellowship. I can think of, yes, grandparents and aunts and uncles and others. I've mentioned them periodically. I do miss them. But I also think of alive friends that, for whatever reason, we have had separation. They live in other states, they have other jobs, they are busy. Some of those I'm trying to reignite again. I've realized that I've grown to miss some of the people that I've known from high school and college. And yes, there's kind of some awkwardness in trying to reestablish those things again, and I'm trying to work through that for myself. But it is important that we recognize that loneliness. There will be some fellowships that we will not be able to satisfy this side of heaven with typical Christian family worship. We have to wait for another time, another reunion, and maybe even for heaven above. And so that has our hearts yearning because we know that even when we are at fellowship, maybe the buildings changed. One of our congregations, the one I'm in, it burnt down more than 20 years ago. And it was devastating for the congregation. But they also recognized that it is just brick and mortar. It didn't kill the congregation, it just changed the dynamics of it. And even as we have a replica built by one of our very enterprising confirmation students and his brother, we were able to have this Lego replica of it where people could miss and pine over the building. But we also recognize that it was a building. We have moved on and we are continuing to move on. And that's what we're called to do in this Christian fellowship, is that while we have time alone and time together, our time alone is just not in just preparation for next Sunday or next um, holiday event. It is for heaven, when we will have our great reunion, our grand reunion with those who have gone before us, those who maybe we were with a tear in our eyes giving thanks for yesterday. But it is a reminder that both the alone and the togetherness are vitally important for us to continue and maintain true Christian fellowship. And so I invite you on this day, maybe where others are pursuing their earthly goods, finding out, although I have heard Black Friday isn't what it used to be. Maybe that's a good thing. I think probably it is. We pursue the things that God is preparing for us, not only in this world, but in the world to come. The spiritual goods that we are called to cultivate, both in fellowship and preparing for that fellowship by being alone. Take care. God bless. We'll see you on Monday. Do not forget to join us on this Sunday, our first Sunday in Advent. Take care. We'll see you next time.